Looks like we are.
Invest in your tomorrow.
All right, welcome to Freshly Pressed for Thursday, the 25th of August, 2022. It's 7:32 a.m. It's time to bring you detailed analysis to the big stories, the major headlines making headlines news around Nigeria today. My name is Victor Pepple.
I'm Shokman Martins, and for the next half hour, we have got Mr. C and Fidel in the studio with us. You can already find them online on social media at Monsieur C with the triple E and at Izotine across Instagram and Twitter. All right, so we've got lots of stories, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today to deal with them.
Let's get it started. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Chopin. Thanks for having us.
Live stream.
Vanguard newspaper, 2023. Wike will work for Tinubu, says Masari as Atiku jets out. Now, of course, this has become a major talking point in Nigeria every day, one story or the other in the PDP. In fact, the River State governor has placed a demand, and one of those would be the removal of the national chairman of the PDP, Iyoche Ayu. In his claims, the national chairman is from the north, the presidential candidate is from the north as well, BOT chairman is from the north. Until the PDP does something about it, he's willing to work for someone from the south. And I hear that the presidential candidate of the PDP also for someone from the south. And I hear that the presidential candidate of the PDP also ran to London to see what he can get from Wiki. Everybody's making him look like the new political bride. What's your reaction, Mr. C?
Okay, thank you, Victor. So, yes, Wike continues to play the proverbial political game. He continues to keep everyone guessing as to his true intentions and his next course of direction. Now, it's no secret that both the presidential candidates of the APC and the PDP are currently not in the country. The official statement for the PDP candidate's absence is that he's on an official trip in Paris. Incidentally, the APC candidate is rumored to also be in Paris. Governor Wike is rumored to be in London. Now, London, Paris is what tops an hour by flight or maybe 2 hours by the train. So they're not too distant that they cannot meet. Now, following the outcome of the PDP presidential primaries, it is clear that Wike feels slighted and done it. And you would think for a second that if President Alhaji Atiku is truly serious about winning next year's election, he would want to increase his chances by getting Wike on board. But it's taking him forever, and for whatever reason I do not understand. Now, the constitution of PDP leadership right now is skewed in favor of the North. So you have the party chairman who's from the North Central. You have the BOT chairman who's also from the North. And the presidential candidate is also from the North. So the southern elements of the PDP are wondering what's going on. Now, incidentally, Dr. Yoche Ayu gave an undertaking, a promise that once the presidential candidate was selected and he turned out to be from the North, he would resign. And that is what Wike is holding him to. You said you would resign, so resign.
But he's also saying that he cannot resign a few months to the elections. It might affect the political structure in the PDP, the NWC, and their campaigns in general.
I'm sorry, how does his resignation affect the structure? I'm trying to understand this. So, if for whatever reason he has to vacate the office, right, the existing structures will remain. He's not the foundation or the cornerstone of the PDP. And there are cries of marginalization, there are cries of injustice, and you need to settle those cries. And guess what? The APC is looking to capitalize on these problems, and they're speaking to Wike. And my understanding is they will concede the gubernatorial race to the PDP in Rivers. So Rivers will remain a PDP state at state level. But for the presidential election, Wike should sway the minds of the River State people and the other states that he has some measure of influence. Incidentally, the governors of Benue, Abia, and Oyo,
Enugu as well.
and Enugu, I understand, are currently with Wike outside the country. So, again, all these movements, all these calculations, are they really in favor of Nigerian people like you and I? Big question. So we wait to see the outcome of all this maneuvering because we hear in one breath Wike will leave the party, in another breath he won't leave the party, but he will work for the APC. And in all of this, the people making these statements are not Wike's people. So let's hear from the horse's mouth. Campaign season officially starts in about 9 days. No, 6, 7 days. It officially starts. Then we will know where we truly are.
Well, apparently we needed to know where the president truly is on this. From the nation, I will only support APC candidates in 2023. The president stating this. Um, Fidel, I have to ask, was this something that we didn't already know or did it need to be said?
I mean, it's a bit laughable. I don't know how much influence um, the president still holds. I mean, after seeing what happened at the APC party convention, that's fine by all of us. I mean, we should support APC candidate. I just want to know what his loyalists think. I mean, if he still has loyalists. Uh, I mean, the statement by Garba Shehu is, I mean, it's not just him saying this is who I'm supporting. Is also trying to speak to, would I say, cross carpeters and those who are trying to, still seek his favor for whatever that is, even after they've left the APC. And in my opinion, I believe at this time we've moved on from I mean his political relevance. I mean he has already done his 8 years, and I think the president should just be thinking of retiring and going back to Katsina to spend the
But when you
rest of.
talk about his political relevance, right, so let's also talk about the effects of this current administration's legacy. And considering the fact that the question that a lot of people have asked of the current APC presidential candidates is, okay, so are you going to, how are you positioning yourself with regards to the current administrations and the current president's moves and the effects it's had on Nigeria? Are you going to continue in that line? What are you going to do? Where is your stance on this?
I'm,
And we've seen a lot of, frankly, amazing gymnastics in trying to avoid that question.
I mean, look, I believe the presidential candidates for APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has to obviously say things to make it seem as if this administration has done well, that this administration has done best, even if he's going to do a 360 when he gets there, right? It's only right that they say things that will be in quotes politically correct. I mean, I'm not surprised when he says things like that. I mean, I don't expect him to come out and bash and the APC brand, or bash the president, who is obviously now like the APC brand. So um, whether public opinion is different, right? This is what we would see politicians say in order to politic, right? And I mean, I'm not a fan of APC, but I wish them all the best. But I doubt if that statement holds any political relevance at this time.
Okay, very quickly. It will be very interesting to find a candidate
Mhm.
that would actively seek Buhari's support for next year's election because he's been an unmitigated disaster.
In your opinion,
Yes, in my opinion.
because others might say he hasn't been.
No, that's fine because when it comes down to establishing the facts, take all the core issues he campaigned with, take all the core issues of the economy of our society. You can't readily point to any core issue in which he has even done a passable job. Now he's arguably what is called a lame duck here.
Well, he's been very focused on agriculture. What would you say about that?
The agriculture where the farmers can't get to the farms, where they're paying ransoms, where the cost of renting a tractor per hour went from 7,000 to 50,000 naira an hour. The same agriculture where we have witnessed shockingly increasing food inflation. Are we talking about the same agriculture or a different agriculture?
I'm just wondering what your
Because the
thoughts are.
facts don't lie.
I mean, I feel like, Mr. C, when we look at the economics of things, or like you said, when we look at the facts, they are glaring. But unfortunately, what I've come to realize is that in reality, the bias is a giant compared to where facts are when it comes to the 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 public, the common man. Unfortunately, I mean,
Oh, are
why
you trying to
else?
say that we're living in a post-fact world and it's perception over fact?
Look, perception bias, right? I mean, why else did the APC candidate pick Shetima for his vice, contrary to what everybody, contrary to all the pressure that he had seen from southern Nigeria, northern Christian groups, he still went ahead to pick someone from this particular part of the country, this religion, regardless of every other thing. Why? It's two things: bias and perception. So
Not if it
to
was
me,
the
it
numbers.
flaws facts
All
in
right,
Nigeria.
let's keep it going quickly now to Daily Trust. You have lost political relevance. Wike blast Lamido. I'll backtrack a bit. 2 days ago, the former governor of Jigawa State had an interview where he said people contest for elections, some win, some lose. The convention produced the candidate who won the primary. If there's any offense, the convention is the one who has offended Wike, not Atiku, not the party chairman. And he goes on to say that Wike does not have any political monopoly in Rivers State just because he's the governor. And now Wike has come back to, blast the former governor of Jigawa State, saying he has lost political relevance.
Okay, so very quickly, this is just another incident of political banter. Now, the ex-governor of Jigawa State is truly entitled to an opinion. Whether that opinion is in fact factual or even correct is debatable. Now, what is clear is Governor Wike is understandably upset. And this is a man that, when PDP was seemingly in the doldrums, he almost single-handedly kept the party afloat when the presidential candidate was living in Dubai. These are all publicly known facts. Now, for a man who's done all of that, he speaks to one thing: he's passionate about the party. Yes, he has his idiosyncrasies, he has his failing, true party man.
With all the recent
Would a
happenings,
true part? Thank you.
So no, so because he's a party man, he has relationships across the country, across the political divide, and we must remember something. Do not let the political class in Nigeria take you for a ride or fool you. They are all friends. They grew up together as children. They went to the same parties, went to the public, probably the same secondary schools, probably the same universities, schooled in the same countries. Their wives are friends. It's the same community. It's basically a community of rich, powerful, influential Nigerians. And it cuts across the political divide. So clearly, he's not going to cut off his friends he's known for 20, 30 years merely because he's in one party and the friend is in another party. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen in real life. So, having said that, Wike has influence you cannot shake off, you cannot throw away.
did he think he was going to win that election? Because the moment he lost that election at the PDP convention in Abuja, oh, it looks like hell broke loose.
So, and I think that goes back to that statement you made of him being a true party man, right? So, is a true party man not supposed to lay the interests of the party above personal interests?
And accept outcome.
And
Yes.
so, even in accepting outcomes, you also have to settle grievances. And Nigerian political history, especially in the last 15, 19, 20 years, is replete with grievances not being sorted out and the party suffering from it. Case in point, the PDP in 2015 was was beset with numerous grievances and squabbles. What was the outcome? You were voted out of power. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And this governor, ex-governor of Jigawa State, I'm sorry, What have you done for the PDP in Jigawa State?
I, I, I mean, Mr. C, I just worry that I feel like I hope we're not seeing another Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the rising. Like I've done so much, I deserve this. I
Exactly.
mean, it's almost like history is replaying itself
But
with the, if I may use entitlement.
Mm.
no,
That
no, no. But Fidel, to be fair to him, he's not asked for any position. He's only saying that a man who's made a promise should honor the promise.
All right, we're due for a break. Let's take that break and we'll come back. We'll take it over to your messages. Stay with us.
Alpha, grab a cup of coffee and
So,
chill.
Wiki, what he's doing, I think, is what happened
know
in
your governor.
2015. Eh?
You know your
He's
governor.
but I'm tired of him. So, what he's doing, right, is if you look at this comment, he's saying some governors from the north, Jiga, one of them, this Sule Lamido, they worked against Jonathan in 2015. They were in the party, but they worked against him. Do you recall some governors went to the same Paris, France, to meet with Tinubu in 2015, right before the elections? Some PDP governors, including their national chairman, Wazu, at the time. That is what Wike is serving them at this time. He's trying to give them a taste of their poison. The northern governors met yesterday on the platform of the PDP to discuss what he's doing. They are angry. What is this guy doing? He wants to scatter this party.
Well, as
We're
in
back.
me, I just don't know what he's doing. What's he?
All right, here we are for the second half of Freshly Pressed, starting off with your messages, which are coming in across the different platforms: Twitter, YouTube, and of course WhatsApp. Nerocello from Ogudu says this ego clash of Atiku and Wike will only harm their chances.
Are they sharing money in London? I'm 3 hours away in Nottingham. How do I meet up? OJ is the one who sent that message to us.
We have Tony from Marine Beach saying Atiku knows this is likely his last opportunity to fight for the presidency, and so he doesn't want to take any chances, but he's sure to get the knocks and jabs for Wike. Unfortunately, both parties are chasing shadows at a time. At this time, that Nigerians are angrily becoming obedient, in Tony's opinion, they'll be shocked.
Well, it might not be his last. He might still contest again in the future. Well,
Age ain't nothing but a number when it comes to Nigerian politicians.
Idima Puza from Surulere. That Wike did get what he wanted. Does it mean he will involve himself in anti-party activities? Does he own the PDP? He must stop it before he's expelled. Iocha, you should resign to bring peace to reign in the PDP.
Okay, and Dakwa from Majora says marginalization in the PDP is not just two but three much. All these politicians think that 2023 is going to be business as usual, but they better get ready for a blockbuster movie.
Chika says, my take on the issue of Wike, PDP, Atiku, and Emiloko is simple. This guy doesn't have the interest of ordinary Nigerians at heart. Just look at how they're all hobnobbing with each other outside Nigeria. Let me reiterate this once again. 2023 election is between Nigerian and the status quo. No politician have the monopoly of vote in his state or domain. Let Nigeria go. Let Nigerians, I believe, go get their PVC and decide who would govern Nigeria come 2023.
And from YouTube, we've got one in from Engineer Strategic who says Mrs. C. Wike's attitude is a distraction played by the media to deflect PDP and APC's irrelevance to the needs of the people of Nigeria today.
That's from Twitter.
Yeah.
Is it the media, really? This is what's happening. Anyways, speaking of having questionable characters in position of prominence, recently a notorious self-confessed cultist in Edo State was made youth leader by a front runner in the upcoming presidential elections. No be juju be that. Is there he sent that message across to us. Let's
Okay.
keep it going.
And let's take a look at this day newspaper now. The headline reads Pipeline Surveillance Contract. PANDEF warns Northern youths against incitive comments. That's the Pan Niger Delta Forum, which reacted to a protest that had gone on by a group under the name of the Amalgamated Arawa Youth Group, who had demanded the termination of a pipeline surveillance contract awarded to Tompolo. Fidel, let's get to you on this.
I get the rationale behind NNPC's actions, right? You give the, the possession to the thief and ask him to take care of it, right? So let's not get a mistake. This project given to Tompolo is to simply watch these pipelines, because the idea is that these guys, or Tompolo's guys, understand the the terrain, right? And he's if somebody's going to be doing anything bad in that area, people like Tompolo ought to know, right? And so he's the one that is supposed to guard it. Now, what I would want to see people, and not just this Arewa Forum, do is wanting to audit what the content of that contract is, right? Now, why it has now become a sort of like a tribal clash between northern youths and youths of under the auspices of Pan Niger Delta Forum is what is baffling, right? It's now I mean the Niger Delta is an area that has suffered so much, and in my opinion, the spokesperson for Pandef, that's Ken Robinson, is just whipping up sentiments because when I mean I'm one of the people who when I do have the opportunity I speak on the degradation of that area. But what I've realized is that it's almost like anyone who gets out of those trenches, once they get out, they forget what was happening or what they were going through whilst they were there. Because you cannot say that
So
people
no degree of survivor's remorse, huh?
to be honest, like you look out and there are people from the Niger Delta who work in oil companies. There are people from the Niger Delta who have oil businesses going on, whether it's in the upstream, whether it's in the downstream, wherever it is, right? Whether if it's just services. And we realize that is the place changing? People are being emancipated from that area, but is the place changing? No. Oil companies are leaving Nigeria. There's now the buzz around energy transition. Is the place changing? No. Now what we realize is that locals are what's it called, refining the oil and continuously destroying the environment. So where
I'm
is
guessing locals will say that their environment has already been destroyed to such a degree.
so how does two wrongs make a right? So if I just feel
The
like
environment upon which they place their livelihoods has been destroyed to such a degree that they could no longer continue with their means of livelihoods, and as such needed to get new means of livelihoods in an already degraded environment.
Shopper, they
Two
need
wrongs do not make a
yeah
right.
All right.
But there are excuses for
they
some
need to
things.
have to come with clean hands. And I'll just say this last but not the least, right? There's a provision for in the PIA that allows for host communities to be more involved. Money is to be given to host communities. Part of what I believe is I think it's also in order to involve host communities in not just the work, not just giving them money, but putting responsibilities in their hands. Like I said, what I think is more important is to audit the kind of contracts given to such people.
All right, let's get back to the messages and then we'll see if we can take some more stories.
Okay, let's take this one from Ian, who says that Tinubu insisted on picking up a Muslim as a vice president despite the pressure and resistance. Oh well, he really did go scriptural on this. He goes on to say when this happened in the book of Exodus, the people involved were doing things to their own detriment, even when they could see that they were making mistakes. Pharaoh, um,
Ahithophel.
Ahithophel. Hey man, it's better for some of us that he's a Muslim because that's a Muslim ticket, so that our chances can be increased, says Ian.
Wike's issue was not losing the primaries, but rather the manner it was done. If he lost under normal circumstances, I believe he wouldn't behave like that. He felt completely sabotaged by the actions of the executives and Atiku. Bosun sent that across.
What are
Whilst
normal circumstances?
Aisha says, do you think that Wiki can be comfortable being a vice to anyone? His spirit is too strong. Atiku will have to keep looking over his shoulder,
I agree
says
with
Aisha.
you. Dami from Ikorodu, the problem of Wike in the PDP is an end result of the monetization of politics. He who pays the piper must dictate the tune. Now he's going to break the musical instrument.
Whilst this one from B says, in addition, the governors voted for Wiki as vice president, so he has every right to be furious. Whilst we've got one in on YouTube from Edozie who says, if Atiku does not win the presidential election and IU leaves now, how will the Northerners react post-election? And let's see if we've got any more of your messages on Twitter. I'll keep checking.
In the Punch newspaper now, U.S. honors slain Sokoto student Deborah Samuel. Mr. C, reaction to this story.
Okay. So our thoughts continue to go out to the family of the late Deborah Samuel, who was gruesomely murdered on the 12th of May, 2022, ostensibly over some alleged offense to the Holy Prophet. Now, the US has honored this Nigerian lady in commemorating the victims of violence based on religion or belief. Now, that is a very good step, and that is a foreign country doing this. You will then ask, what has her own country done? The two students who were arrested and arraigned before a magistrate court, nothing has happened since then. I've been tracking this story. I haven't come up with any further development. Now, first of all, a magistrate court lacks the jurisdiction or the competence to try murder cases. So, what the prosecutors normally do is they take you there. The magistrate then orders that it be sent, the file be sent to the DPP for advice, and then you're remanded in prison. Now, you would think that for a country that supposedly values human life, that between May and August you would have seen some progress. Absolutely nothing. And this is the big question that still remains unanswered. What is the actual value of a Nigerian life? Our politicians have not been able to answer the question. The authorities cannot answer the question. The security agencies cannot answer the question. And this is one of the questions that should be asked and to all the candidates. In your opinion, if you were elected into office, what value, if any, would you place on a Nigerian life?
All right.
This day newspaper, EFCC arrests NDDC's account director over alleged 25 billion naira fraud. Fidel, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it's this just ties down or ties back to what I was saying earlier about how even those or people who come from the Niger Delta are still part of the people plundering the Niger Delta, right? I mean, we saw the theatrics with Mr. Monday. I mean, he said he had a health challenge, but I mean, I'm still struggling to believe that. But we've seen how this um, would I say this agency has just been a cash cow. People just come and it's like this is where I could just come chop, you know. And what I think one Mr. C, what I really believe we need to now start having in this country is like what they have with in the US where it's a RICO case, right?
Mhm.
Where if you can remotely point someone to have received even a dime in some way
Mm-hmm.
with in respect to, and this is I mean with RICO cases usually with drugs or arms deal or
Criminal enterprise.
criminal enterprise, right? But in Nigeria we should have it with respect to public officers and misappropriation of public funds. If you can remotely be traced or to have had dealings with this person, whether it's business or if it's even if it's grant or he just dashed you something, it should be probed and such people should be brought and be tried, in correct order for this kind of thing. Because I struggle to believe that this amount of money is just one person that is liable for this, or one person has eaten all this money. We need to catch all the people around these activities.
It's only 25 billion naira.
So,
They say
So
that
where
nowadays when we've seen hundreds of billions
very
going.
quickly, EFCC playing to the gallery again. In serious countries, when investigations are being conducted, nobody hears about it
until it's done.
until the charges are presented to the accused. But here again, they are playing to the gallery, and watch this space. Next to nothing will come out of it.
We need to
Unfortunately,
do.
Mr. C, when you see EFCC, I mean, if you've ever been to the Federal High Court, when you see EFCC, like EFCC of lawyers coming into the court premises, they're already news agencies there or news reporters there.
Mhm.
So it's almost impossible, except you tell him, except the EFCC lawyer is going to say, no comments, no comments, right? It's almost impossible to hide.
We need to
from
go.
them.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of the show today. You can catch them on Twitter at Izutene and Monsieur C with triple E.
And that's it coming up at 8:15. It will be entertainment time inside the Grapevine.
Invest in your
Yeah, I have no
tomorrow.
problem.